Welcome, welcome, welcome. As a business owner, sometimes the financial part of your business can be the most scary and overwhelming aspect. When you say the financial part of a business is super overwhelming?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially, most people who start businesses aren't necessarily business people.
Well, yeah, or they're not finance people. And honestly, some of almost like that old adage of the house cleaner with the messy house. I even see a lot of financial professionals. I heard about a bookkeeper just the other day that owns a business and their financial life is like a mess. I'm like, well, sometimes it happens, but you don't have to live there, right? You don't have to stay in that place where your financial life is scary, is really making you afraid. A lot of times I think when people get into business, it's like money in, money out. And as long as there's more money in than more money out, then they assume everything's good, right?
Right. Not necessarily even planning for those times when they may need more money than they're planning for. That was very literal for that business, I assume.
It was, but it was also the same time that and serious all at the same time. Like, no, winter's coming. I have to plan. I have to make sure that I have enough money to survive, right? But I think a lot of times, it's funny because people don't understand that, especially in the blue collar sector, blue collar business owners actually, on average, work about 60 hours a week in their business. Putting in, 60 hours of work, actually, most blue collar businesses are not profitable, and about 90% of them can never be sold, mostly because of systems, processes, but also finances. Because if you don't have your financial house in order, no one is going to pay you for your underpaid job that you have no idea about your financial
Right. I think
life.
that's, a lot of people don't realize is they're not, they've created another job for themselves, right?
Right? Yeah.
A job where they are the owner, manager, and operator.
All
at
the
once.
things. If you think about it that way, like, would you buy someone else's job? Well, no. If you're going to market and you're trying to sell your business and it's a job, then you're asking someone to buy your job. I was actually just reading this book yesterday, and they said that the greater majority of businesses who go bankrupt do it the year after their biggest sales year ever.
Okay. Explain why.
Basically, what happens is they sell all this stuff, or they get ready to sell a lot. They push all their money into inventory, into humans, into this and that, and they spend all this money, and they're not paying attention to the returns, and they're not paying attention to their accounts payable and their accounts receivable and all these things. Then they go completely cash broke.
Right.
Then they go bankrupt.
Yeah. It's like being house poor, right? Mm-hmm. The couple was like, oh, we need to own a house, so that's how you build wealth. And then they buy the most expensive house that they can barely afford, and then the second the water heater breaks,
like, what do I do?
Yeah, now it's like, oh, there's nobody to call. Nobody's going to come fix that unless I pay someone to come fix that and replace it and pay for the labor of installation. So
yeah,
same concept.
And this can actually be seen in Toys R Us. Like, okay, everyone remembers Toys R Us, and everyone's like, oh, well, nobody was shopping there. Actually, the year that Toys R Us went bankrupt was their biggest sales year ever. They literally sold more toys that Christmas than they had ever sold before. They were at a high when it came to sales, but they couldn't pay for their debt, and they couldn't pay their suppliers, and they were over leveraged. So a lot of times people become over leveraged without even thinking about it. And I see this a lot in the blue collar sector when it comes to equipment. To get another crew, I need another truck, so then I'm going to go buy the truck. Well, then if I get the truck, then I need the trailer. If I get the trailer, then I need this piece of equipment. If I get this piece of equipment, I need that. And all of a sudden, their balance sheet just balloons.
Right, and they're not planning for, okay, well, how do we pay for these things? They think, oh, well, we're profitable now, right? Now we have the money to pay for these things. We've had our biggest year. More crew means more revenue, means this will all be paid for, no problem, when that's not always the case.
And it just balloons and balloons and balloons. And then before they know it, they're over leveraged. And then if one check doesn't come in, they can't pay their debt, and then they're bankrupt. And that's what happens, right? Because they're having bigger sales and they're going so fast, and sins are covered by sales.
Right.
But at the end of the day, those things are still broken in their financial house. And one way or another, winter is coming.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, because I think that is probably very common among amongst business owners, and some of them make it through that period, and a lot of others don't. You talk about a lot of the businesses failing within the first year and the first 3 years for obvious reasons, but there is that next level of failures that happen after they become profitable, and that's it. I think that's probably a great reason, a great point as to why that happened. People who start these businesses are typically not business people. They're not necessarily entrepreneurs. They are people who created a business, and that is their entrepreneurial moment.
Yeah.
Right? I've been digging into the E-Myth, and that's very much what they talk about at the beginning of that book. I think that's very, very prevalent in the blue-collar world, because most of these people have a skill. I'll just do the jobs. I know how to do this. I'll take all the money, and I'll run my business way better. Not realizing the years of effort and trial and error that the previous owner they worked for put in.
Well, yeah, if Toys R Us had it happen, sometimes there is no greater downfall than hubris. And I feel like a lot of like these big companies, like, I mean, we're just seeing it even right now with Red Lobster.
Right.
They had a promotion of this all-you-can-eat shrimp, and they were like, okay, this is working really well. Like, the promotion gets people in the door. We're having all these people with the all-you-can-eat shrimp. Their CEO that they had, he decided it would be a fabulous idea to extend the all-you-can-eat shrimp all the time.
Yes.
And they lost something like $10 million with this all-you-can-eat shrimp all the time deal. And that was literally the straw that broke the camel's back.
I was going to say that one thing alone is not what did it.
No, it wasn't the one thing. It's never and that's the thing. It's never the one thing.
Exactly.
It's all the things. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yep. There you go.
But if you start to see those paper cuts and then you don't realize you're bleeding out, and I think that's what happens a lot of times with businesses is they grow and they grow and they grow and they don't realize in essence that they're bleeding out because they've cut themselves so tiny so many times. What we're going to talk about in the next episode, now we know we don't want this death by 1,000 paper cuts and these ballooning AR and AP, and we don't want all like our balance sheet to be off. What is the next step? If we know we have a problem, how do we even start about fixing it? Tune in to the next episode to figure out the first steps in fixing your bloated balance sheet.
Awesome.